Hey folks, Michael here. This is like the third try. Made one video of this. Got a bunch of stuff to cover, and I'm going to try and cover it quick. But anyway, got to tell my little story first. Decided it was too long because it was like 45 minutes, and started making a second one, and phone rang, and I was going to let it just ring, and it was one of the very few people that I can really say is truly one of my best friends ever in my life. He's coming into town. He lives in Wyoming. He's going to be here, not this coming weekend, but weekend after, and we're going camping, which I haven't been camping for years. I don't even have any equipment anymore. I used to do a lot of backpacking though, and Brad and I did a lot of that stuff together. It's been such a gorgeous day today. I think it's about 71 degrees right now. The sun is shining. It's just fantastic, gorgeous, gorgeous day. I went out this morning, had some errands to run, a few things to do, go to the bank, blah, blah. And I thought, I'm out. I think I'm going to go stop at the Goodwill. Never got there. Because on the way to the Goodwill, I went by Live Music Institute, and I thought, well, you know what? I think I'll go here first, because they have a deal with their dollar bin, and their dollar bin is, oh gosh, probably over 1,000 records down there. It's down underneath everything. And you buy 15 for $10. Wow, what a deal. So I got there, and aside from the most annoying, there's these two guys, and you run into them a lot around here, and I think they're special. Actually, I think probably mental disability and I don't know what, but doesn't matter really. I mean, they're decent guys and stuff. One of them one day when I was at another store was actually like shoving me out of the way because it's like he just doesn't even know anybody else is around, though. He's just kind of dumb. But the other guy who's always with him would not shut up, would not leave me alone. Hey man, got something really obscure, I'm really into. And it'd be like, George Thorogood. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really obscure. And at one point I almost just wanted to start screaming, will you please shut up? So anyway, I did go through the bins, and I did pick out 15 beautiful albums, but I also made the mistake of looking in the other bins. And so I came home with a few more. I don't think I spent a whole lot of money on anything. Most I spent on any record. I think maybe I spent a little too much. I paid $12 for it. But, hey, it's in really good shape. And this is it. And it's David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. I don't know a whole lot about this album. I'll be honest. I've never owned a David Bowie album in my life. Kind of had a reaction against him later, but I do remember this album, and I do remember particularly the song Suffragette City. And while I was in there shopping, that happened to be streaming on their little radio thing, Spotify or whatever the hell it is they're using. And so I and there it was, and I was like, and it was at one of the better prices I've ever seen it. It's a Dynaflex. And it's 1972, so this may well be a first press. I don't know, and I know any Bowie fans and experts will quickly tell me what I got. LSP 4702 stereo, RCA Victor, blah blah blah, a gem production. Of course, it's not a first press, because anything from Bowie would probably be a first press if it were from England. But anyway. Hey, for that price, the first thing I stumbled on, and they have this one area where it's like new arrivals, and I don't think that was there, but this was. And there are only two albums that I'm still missing, or was still missing. Now it's down to one, for me to have what I consider to be essential Jefferson Airplane, and this was one of them. Bless its pointed little head. I love that picture. I always love it. There's Jack. See Jack? Yeah, bless his pointed little head. And, back at this time, Jack Cassidy was like Tripper max. I mean, so yeah, it's kind of appropriate. And I've played this, and it plays perfectly. And I think it may be a first press. I'm not positive. It's got, the high lip on the edges, RCA, orange. Everything looks pretty much right. And when I say first press, I don't necessarily mean first plate. That's another matter altogether, although it's hard to say. And the truth is depending on plates wear out. So just because something doesn't have a one stamper on it, or whatever it is that people call it, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. They could have been pressing that album, and probably this album, they probably were pressing in maybe even 5 or more plants around the country. So who knows? At any rate, what I do know is I'm thrilled to have it, and I've played it, and it plays really good. Also played, just got done playing The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, and that puppy plays just sweet and clean and really gorgeous. Before I get into the other stuff, except for one, I think I'm going to save this one for last, very last. I thought I was done, and there were a couple of albums that I left behind because I just decided, my God, I've got to, I got to draw the line somewhere. So I left behind 2 albums. They're behind the counter, and I'm going to go pick them up in a couple of weeks. One was White Mansions. It was a Waylon Jennings project. A number of people were involved with that, Jesse Coulter and various people. It is like a rock opera about the Civil War, and a pretty amazing album. I've only heard it as a download, and I've never seen it before. $10. I'm going to check it out and make sure that it's worth it. And the other one I've got to have is the companion to John Lennon and Plastic Ono. It's the Yoko Ono and Plastic Ono Band album. And that's what the difference is between the two images. The images look almost identical, and Discogs does not distinguish that they're 2 different albums. Totally 2 different albums. So what ifs? And that was $15, but it's gorgeous, and it's a first press, and I'm going to get it. Letting go of those 2 knocked $25 off of, and I could have done it, but I thought, But then as I was on my way out the door, though, I could not pass these up for the price. They were just so cheap. $5 I think is quite reasonable for a VG++. Squeeze, Sweets from a Stranger, and I think I've mentioned before, there was some kind of a thing on this that is gone. I don't know what that was. I'll have to check that out and what that was, because it's got like a little perforation line there. I don't know. I've never had this album. I do have almost every single they've ever done, and a lot of them on Stiff and various other labels. So anyway, happy to have this. Very happy to have this, and for $5, you betcha. And it is just almost mint. So really happy to have that. And, we're not stopping there. And this I think I've pretty well covered Squeeze. My Squeeze needs, at least for a while. $4. Cosi Fan Tutti Frutti. One of the cleverest album titles I've ever in my life heard. And I was just talking with my friend. Oh, sorry, sweetie. Little kitty's sitting here, and things are wanting to slide. There, we moved them that way. About them recently, and about how they were just. And I wasn't necessarily into them at the time. I wasn't into the radio, but I've come to really appreciate them. And we didn't quite agree about everything. He thinks Todd Rundgren's is good or better. I just still cannot get my. And East Side Story. Also, absolutely perfect condition. The sleeve's got a little wear on it, but even the sleeve is a VG plus. Yeah, I mean, that's acceptable on VG plus. Read the guidelines. Read Goldmine guidelines. That's the most useful thing in Goldmine is the actual laying out and defining the standards. As far as prices go, it's ridiculous to think, that's like, I learned this when I was dealing with antiques and stuff, and I did a lot of collectible pottery and stuff, and you'd look in the books, and this shiny vase, this is worth $45 if it's got the gold trim on it. Oh, bull crap, No, they weren't. Most of the time, the prices are not as high. But this was the last thing I got. And this one, I think, I paid $7 for it. Why, I don't know, because it's a greatest hits. But it was just such a cool little package. This is 6 squeeze songs crammed into one 10-inch record. And it's a best of. It's, what's on it here? Goodbye Girl, Cool for Cats, Up the Junction, Slap and Tickle, Bang Bang, and Take Me I'm Yours. On a little 10-inch record. I love 10-inch records because they mess with you and because they're subversive that way. So, coupling that with UK Squeeze and, what's the other one I got over there? I pretty much got my squeeze needs covered. And I'm going to save the last of the things that I got that way and go into the 15 that I got for 75 cents a piece. And I'll start with these 3. I recently did a video where I talked about Leon Russell, and I said that the last album that I thought was any good that he had done was All That Jazz. It's called Stop All That Jazz. And this definitely needs a cleanup. But it's a pretty good album. It's not as good, though, as his best. I felt like there was a slump. And then I got this, which is really not that much later. This is 1978, Leon Russell Americana. I've never heard this album. I do remember that photo, though. But I thought, oh, what the hell? It's on Paradise. And I think that may be his label now. Or I don't know. Whatever happened to Shelter. Maybe he sold Shelter. I don't know. And then I got this from 1979, Life and Love. I could have easily picked up Leon and Mary Russell's wedding album and Music to Make Love To, and elected not to because I don't even, honestly, to me, well, I should put them on the turntable there. That's a cool thing. They do have a turntable. I would want to hear them and see how they sounded too. My memory is that they sucked really bad. Okay, I got this. I'm not a huge Dave Mason fan at all. I like him, okay, but I don't think of him as just like, oh my God, he's just genius. I do think, I think Mama Cass Elliott's vocals, her voice box was a genius, even if she was dumb as a box of rocks, and she wasn't, of course, but if you get my drift, her voice is just such a brilliant voice. I've never heard this album, and for 75 cents, it's worth a try. That's the way I feel about it. Picked this up. I had this album back in 1969. Made me feel really grown up because it's a jazz record. Les McCann and Eddie Harris recorded live at Montreux Jazz Festival, Switzerland, called Swiss Movement. It's the title of the album. Basically, there's one track on it that I really love. The rest of it's okay, but compared to what is just brilliant, it's a brilliant song. And this is a different version, than, well, there are other versions. It's been recorded by a number of people. Written by G. McDaniels. A great cover of it by Roberta Flack on First Take. But this is the album where I first heard this, and a friend of mine posted it recently, and I was like, oh my God, yes. And And then I showed him the Roberta Flack version, and he was like, "Oh, I've never heard that," which surprised me because this is a dude who's very hip to music, and I really would have thought that he had heard First Take by then. Picked this up, 75-cent Chance, The Mysterious Film World of Bernard Herrmann. Music from Mysterious Island, Jason and the Argonauts, and The Three Worlds of Gulliver. 1975 Decca, London, and it's on that Phase 4 stereo, London, and in beautiful shape. Whether I end up keeping this or giving it to somebody, I don't know. I think there's a couple people who really dig that Phase 4 and collect it. So if I don't want it, speak up and I'll tell you. So, and this is of course imported from the UK. These were not made in the US. I don't think any of those Phase 4s are US. They're UK pressings. Another one I just took a chance on for 75 cents. Here again, I am not the world's biggest 10 Years After fan. I don't own a single album by them anymore. I did. I owned 10 Years After, Stonehenge. I think that's it. No. There was another one too. Can't remember the title though. But I thought, this looks kind of interesting, and it was 75 cents. And this puppy almost cracks when you open it. It's almost like a brand new record, and I'm pretty sure it's a 73 pressing. That's when it was issued, and I'm pretty sure that's from the first issue. I don't know how far that goes. Don't even know. Utter whim, but for a very brief time in my life, I did do some clubbing, and at the time, you couldn't walk into there without. You were going to hear this at least once, twice, probably 3-4 times if you were in there very long. Everybody dance now. It looks like a brand new record. What the hell? Why not? 75 cents. If I hate it, I'll curse somebody else with it. I have a feeling I'm going to really dig this, and this is in beautiful shape. Oh, I see this one also. There are a couple of them that I found that have that little dot there. That means what that tells you is that this was part of, at one time, had passed through World Records and tapes, which it was the best record store in Topeka, as far as I'm concerned. Only even really rivaled by Mother Earth. Mother Earth was bigger, but this place had a lot of interest. You have Doug Kershaw from 1972. Great Cajun fiddler, really. That's what he is. That's what he do. And, anyway, I think I'm going to like that. And here's another one, a little confession time. Boy, I'm making a lot of confessions today, aren't I? Never owned a David Bowie album before in his life. What else? Well, here's another big confession. I've never owned a Wishbone Ash album for 75 cents. The sleeve is kind of rough, but the vinyl is just beautiful, flawless, and perfect. Other than that piece of glitter that some hippie must have, there's really no flaws on this at all. So I'm looking forward to hearing this. I vaguely remember them. Their heyday was a period when I really wasn't buying a lot of records, and whatever. And apparently something didn't motivate me to buy more, or to buy theirs. Then this. Previously released material. Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't know. I remember this album, The Outlaws. I didn't realize this was a compilation of previously released stuff, but I'm not surprised. And I've got a lot of things like that in country music, although I got rid of all my really crappy. There are a lot of crappy. Oh yeah. I'm getting into some pretty awesome stuff here as we get down a little further. Let's see. I think next thing I'll show you is I recently picked up my first Flo and Eddie album for 75 cents. I figure I cannot go wrong. I was very impressed with the first album that I had by them. So this is my second album by them. And I think I'm going to be digging it. I keep hoping, of course, that I'll find Captain Beefheart and stuff like that in there. Never do. And I will say, yeah, well, anyway, never mind. I'm not going to get into all that. Also, recently, at 4.75 cents, I picked up Steve Forbett's first album. And lo and behold, here's from 1982. So I don't remember the dates, but I would guess this is like maybe his second or so. Also titled Steve Forbett. Maybe this is actually his first album. I don't know. I haven't looked at the dates and don't remember now. But I was impressed with it very much. And it's funny because that other album, I can't remember the title of it now. I've seen that almost, well, since it was released. Everywhere I go, I've always run into that album. And I'd never, for some reason, got it. Immediately recognized the first song. Oh, yeah! And then loved that album. So I thought, I'm getting this. This is also, I've recently, for 75 cents each, as you know, I'd picked up Sean Phillips' contribution and second contribution. And, well, so now I have Furthermore. And one neat thing about it, this one is a white label promo on A&M, so I know it's a first press. Not that really, I think it's cool. It's fun to have first presses. That's what it really boils down to. It's not really essential most of the time. What's more important is having a really nice copy. But all things being equal, I'll take a first press over anything else. Unless, of course, that first copy is really. And how about some classic soul, baby? I really love a lot of classic soul and R&B and that stuff. And Motown and Stax. Those are the two labels, that just tower in that era. And the Four Tops were just one of the greatest. And this is Reach Out. The song Reach Out, I'll be there standing in the shadows of love. Bernadette. I mean, my gosh. Whoa. And If I Were a Carpenter, which is kind of funny because I think that's covered on, isn't it? On that one of those Leon Russell albums also. I'm pretty sure. I gotta look and see now. Just satisfy my curiosity. Side one of Stop All That Jazz. If I Were a Carpenter. That'll be fun to compare. Funny enough, I don't have the original version. Don't really care that I don't. I'm fine with that. I always thought it was really, in some ways, kind of dumb. Thought this was so cool to get. Nancy Sinatra, Sugar. Sing Sugar Town in sweet, soulful serenades from the old-timey years. I've played one side of this. It's pretty good. It really is. I would have hated this when it came out. When did it come out? The 60s. But the vinyl, the record, the sleeve's a little rough, but this vinyl is near mint. And I am dead serious. It is near mint, mono. Chris! Tricolor Steamboat! I am pretty happy to have it. And I love having it. If nothing else, I'll play Sugartown because I love that song. That was a cool one. Of course, this is produced by Lee Hazelwood. Mixed feelings about Lee Hazelwood. On the one hand, generally, I mean, he was a brilliant guy, but when it came to money, he could be a dick like a lot of people. And there's a little story about that regarding Graham Parker and the Byrds and stuff. But neither there nor there. Whatever. cool. And I think it'll clean up, but there is a little bit of a split going on there. I don't think I'm going to try to repair it because I won't ever put the record into there anyway. And last but not least, in some ways, this maybe tells you what a nut job I am, but I won't say this is a grail because I never have thought I really got to go find that album, and I've never looked for it, but I never expected to run into it either. Occasionally, and I honestly, I haven't double checked, but I think this could very well be a first press. It's on two-tone reprise, which would be about right. But it might be a second press. God bless Tiny Tim, and God bless him. Of course, he's passed away now, and he actually ended up he's put out a lot of records, and he was probably one of the most knowledgeable people about, It was treated like a joke, and he was witty enough to play that game, but the truth is he was pretty serious about it too. But he knew how to camp it up a bit, and he did camp it up, and one of the first things I ever remember seeing of him, this was before Tiptoes Through the Tulips was a big hit, but he was just briefly in a scene in some movie where they were, it might have been Joe, but that seemed, no, because Tiptoes Through the Tulips was, well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, whoever it is, they're going through like a real seedy part of like Greenwich Village or Lower East Side or something, and they're in this bar and coffee shop kind of thing, and there are different people playing and doing these very hip beatniky kind of things, and the MC, the host of the thing, was Tiny Tim. And he just very quickly comes out, oh, thank you, that was wonderful, and now I'd like to play a song. Pulls out his ukulele and started going away. But there it is. I had this album when it came out, and for the life, I cannot recall what the label looked like, but both I and one of my best friends at the time, a fella named Guy Michael, who I never see anymore, although he still lives here in town, I just don't ever see him. But we both loved this album, and all things peculiar, and this is peculiar. If you're not from, oh gosh, I mean, it's got just all kinds of stuff. Welcome to My Dream, okay, well, which is a standard. Tiptoe Through the Tulips with Me, of course, is on here. On the Old Front Porch, very old time song. Stay Down Here Where You Belong, which is like a World War I protest song. The Devil's wanting to go up. I think it is. I don't know. I don't see the. I don't see. Oh, where is it here? Who wrote it? That might help. Irving Berlin wrote it. It's got. Other great stuff. Daddy, Daddy, What Is Heaven Like, which is one of the most syrupy, sentimental songs about a little kid asking its dad what heaven's like because mommy's there. And I Can Hardly Wait. Why is this, Daddy? A tear in your eye. Really, that kind of sentimental stuff. And then a wonderful, wonderful stuff that he does these great duets with himself, not double tracking. I remember him doing this on television. I Got You, Babe, where he played. It's just fabulous. So novelty, yeah, but at the same time, the guy was dead serious, and he's made some other records. I've never run into them, but I know he's made some other records and made some with some pretty interesting people. It'd be cool to find some of those other things too. But Guy Michael and I, oh God, we loved the hell out of this. We just, we thought that was just a total blast. Of course, we also loved the hell out of Vince Busseruptum by Blue Cheer. So we were pretty broad in our tastes. Anyway, it's been a fabulous day, and I want to play some more of these records. Maybe you ought to go spin one of your own.